In the headlines, Police Service Commission suspends 2 officers accused of complicity in DSP Kyari scandal. Bandits attack Kaduna village, abduct 22, injure 4 people. Nigeria's gross domestic product drops in last quarter of 2021. And on the foreign scene, Afghan rescuers scramble to save boy trapped down well, weeks after a similar attempt to rescue a child from a well in Morocco. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. Police Service Commission has faulted the investigative report submitted by the Nigeria Police Force on one of its embattled officers, Abba Kyari, describing the report as filled with many loopholes and gaps. The Commission's spokesman, Ikechukwu Ani, confirmed this on Thursday. The Commission, which earlier ordered the force to conduct a fresh probe with a different panel on Kyari and submit another report within 2 weeks, maintained that it must submit a fresh report within the given time frame. It will be recalled that the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, had earlier set up a probe panel led by Deputy Inspector General of Police at Force Headquarters, Abuja, Josephine Egunike, to investigate Kyari over allegations by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the United States that he has a link with the billionaire fraudster Ramon Abbas, popularly known as Hush Puppy. Similarly, the Police Service Commission has suspended 2 police officers over their alleged involvement in illicit drug trafficking. The officers, Sunday Ubua, an Assistant Commissioner of Police, and James Bawa, an Assistant Superintendent of Police, who were working under the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, have been handed over to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, for investigation. And fuel scarcity is still biting hard in Borno State as Maiduguri residents complain of hike of transportation fares. The scarcity lingers despite assurance of increased supply. Filling stations are chaotic, with motorists struggling to refill their tanks. The report.
It's free flow of traffic during the day in Maiduguri metropolis. Some residents faced difficulty to get a ride to their destination, offices and place of business. The scarcity of petrol experienced in the capital city had some filling stations closed and those dispensing had long queues.
When I drove to this place, most of the petrol stations I passed near them had no fuel. So I suppose the problem will intensify. The best thing to do is the government should just quickly do what it wants to do. That is, increase the price and let people have fuel. That will make things easier for them than to just keep quiet and clearly things are not moving on fine.
Okay. I've been here since 8 o'clock. And now it's almost 3. Since 8 in the morning.
Where are you supposed to be?
I was not even able to go to office. I was supposed to go to work. I've not been to the office. I was supposed to go and pick my children around 2. Now it's to 3. They're still in school.
The official pump price of 165 naira per litre remains unchanged, but some residents complained that transport fares have tripled.
Now 15 naira we dey take keke everywhere where we go pay 15 naira. But this time around we don't really know. Our government wants to suffer, so we pay 200 naira one drop, 50 naira, 200 now, 300. Some people are paying 70 naira, and we don't know what to do. We are suffering. Government out.
We have only discharged 45,000 liters. Yesterday we sell 30,000 liters. So the only one that we have 15,000 liters on ground. So we starting selling 15,000 liters since in the morning. By any moment they will finish now.
Residents hope that the fuel scarcity does not last long and pray that it does not impact on price of commodities in the country.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has quashed the lower court judgment which gave Senator Ibrahim Shekaru's G7 faction of the APC in Kano victory over the faction led by the state governor Abdullahi Ganduje. The decision of the courts, which were delivered Thursday by Justices Haruna Tsammani, Gafai and Amadi, ruled in favor of the governor's faction in all 3 appeals lodged against the judgments of the lower courts. The judgment of the lower court has been set aside for lack of territorial jurisdiction and also because it is an intra-party affair, while the third ground is on originating process that were used to file the case, which the court described as wrongly done. As such, even the originating process is set aside. And a group within the ruling All Progressives Party APC door-to-door campaign forum has appealed to the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired, to join the party so that Nigerians can benefit from his experience, particularly now that the country is going through security challenges. The national coordinator of the group, Ibrahim Namfulani, made the appeal on behalf of the group during its 7th Northwest Annual Meeting in Kaduna.
APC at Toledo Campaign Forum urged the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired, to join the ruling party, All Progressive Congress, APC, saying that it will benefit from tremendous experience of the general, especially now that the political atmosphere of the country is gathering momentum toward the 2023 general election. Ahead of the 2023 general election in the country, we are making a passionate appeal to Nigeria's most celebrated military Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, to join the party will greatly enhance the fortune of the party in many more ways.
And now to matters of insecurity, where about 22 persons have been abducted by bandits who attacked Idon Town in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State on Wednesday. According to Channels Television, the attackers were reported to have injured 4 residents of the community during the attack, which took place in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Although both the security agencies and the Kaduna State government are to comment on the incident, community leader who spoke under the condition of anonymity told Channels Television that the bandits invaded the community located along the Kaduna-Kachia Road at about 12:30 a.m. and immediately started shooting indiscriminately. The source said that the bandits took 22 people away to an unknown destination, while those that sustained injuries were taken to the hospital for treatment. And the Gombe State government says low intake of COVID-19 vaccine in the state is a source of worry. Latest data released by the COVID-19 Management Committee in the state reveals that only 12% of the 1.9 million targeted population are vaccinated so far. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Worried about the statistics showing that only 12% of the state targeted population is vaccinated against COVID-19, Gombe State government has summoned stakeholders meeting. Speaking at the event, the Deputy Governor, who is also the Chairman COVID-19 Management Committee, urged stakeholders to do more and get people vaccinated against the pandemic.
I was in Abuja meeting with the President, and Gombe was mentioned among the states that were not doing very well in vaccination. It's not a good story. Whatever we do here is important to the presidency. So when they said Gombe was not doing well, and they said Nasarawa and Jigawa were not doing well, I felt sad because I thought we were doing enough. Please, we must action. We must action. Today is not a directive from the Deputy Governor or the Chairman. We are going to put our heads together here. You have heard that we are not vaccinating people enough. We will listen to all contributions from the traditional rulers, from the actors, to suggest or even identify why our people are not going for vaccination.
According to a report released by the Gombe State government, so far a total number of 277,000 took the jab, representing 12% of 1,940,630 targeted population.
While only 14% took their second dose. Therefore, to HCA, they have 10% of their target population that took their first dose, but only 5% took their second dose. So cumulatively, the state summary is 12% of the target population that took their first dose, while only 6% took their second dose. Next slide. So having said that, we have come up with a a target that we want to ensure that this target has been vaccinated before the end of March. And if we do that, we are going to reach a 50% that is expected of us.
The State Ministry of Information attributed the low vaccination rate to fake news being circulating over safety reasons.
We need to fight against what is called in the information cycle infodemics. Just like we have the pandemic, we also have infodemics. The infodemics is the fake news that flies faster than the correct news. It's also a disease out there. Unless and until we are able to take care of that, we will continue to have resistance. Because I was at a church meeting recently in Kaltungo. They brought the vaccine there. They announced, so I didn't see people showing up because of what they already believe, and we must work hard to break that so that people will know that this is actually safe. This is also for our own goods. And sometimes, they come up with some kind of arguments that you cannot even defend.
Stakeholders are now challenged to come up with a strategy that will help boost vaccination against the COVID-19 pandemic in Gombe State. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
And still on the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria has continued to record a daily decline in the number of COVID-19 cases, with 13 new case infections logged on Wednesday in 4 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says 7 persons were discharged after they recovered from the infection on Wednesday, with no fatality recorded. Going by the newly reported infections, Nigeria now has a total of 254,137 cases, 230,479 recoveries, and 3,141 deaths. You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break, another protest in Port Harcourt. Do stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Now look at our top stories. Police Service Commission has faulted the investigative report submitted by the Nigeria Police Force on one of its embattled officers, Abba Kyari, saying it is filled with many loopholes and gaps. And about 22 persons have been abducted and 4 others injured by bandits who attacked Idon town in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. And moving on to other news, Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, has asked its members to be ready to stop work at any time when the need arises. National President of ASUP, Anderson Zebier, who gave the hint while addressing members of the union at Hussein Adamu Federal Polytechnic, Kazauri, Jigawa State, accused the federal government of reneging on some parts of the agreement it reached with the union in June last year. He said ASUP had suspended its industrial action on June 10, 2021, based on agreements it reached with the federal government, which include the release of 15 billion naira for the revitalization of polytechnics and monotechnics, among others. However, added that since the agreement, the federal government has fulfilled some, while others have not been achieved. He noted that the NEC will take its next possible decision in the next meeting to hold in March in Mubi, Adamawa State. This is coming a few days after the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, embarked on a 4-week warning strike. Civil society organization in River State staged a protest in Bori, Kana local government area of River State, seeking an end to the deadly air pollution. Executive Director of Leke Development Foundation, Friday Mbani, said the group observed that industries using fossil fuel and financial institutions in the state have not addressed the climate crisis despite decades of warnings and mounting climate impact in the state. The report.
Rivers State government had declared war on illegal bunkering to address the impact of the suit. Friday Mbani and other protesters said despite Governor Nyesom Wike's directive to clamp down illegal bunkering activities, the suit still in the air as government failed to make policies that will stop all activities. They noted that the air pollution had led so many indigents of Rivers and Niger Delta to their early grave.
Climate change and environmental degradation have and will continue to have an advanced impact on the full and effective enjoyment of human rights, such as the right to life, like I just said, health and safe drinking water, sanitation and so on, and adequate houses to a standard living, if not addressed. And that is why we carry out this campaign today to ensure that this is being curtailed and being addressed by the legislature, the people in power.
We want government to really come out to end black suits. It's not enough sitting down in your offices. It's not enough to come on air today to say you're chasing guys who are into illegal bunkering. What of the gas flaring from companies operating in Rivers State? What happens to them? They're not saying anything concerning these companies because they have some benefits, some derivative they have from these companies, so they don't want to talk to the companies. So their concentration is on these boys because they are not getting any returns from them. So government should not be biased.
As it stands now, this black suit is really having effects on the people. It's really having effects on our respiratory systems. It's really having effects on our internal organs, and it's not good for the well-being of a human being. So please, the government should come out to this plea, and every form of black suit, every activities that have been going on the ground or in the open, it should be stopped.
We need healthy environments. For instance, environments where they are doing bunkering, it will not be good for us to live in that environment because we cannot breathe well, we cannot be comfortable, illness everywhere. I think that should stop.
It's the climate change and the black suits affects everybody, even if you might not notice it because it's a long-term something. It's something that will affect you definitely in one way or the other. It is a confirmed source of cancer. People get cancer from these black soot emissions, and environmental degradation has been something that would not be okay for us as humans. It can lead to human extinction in the long term. So it's something that affects me.
We organize this awareness campaign and to mobilize the young people to avoid the illegal activities that create this scenario for us to live in the peaceful environment and to protect our environment.
The group wants effective regulatory measures to protect humans from harm caused by greenhouse gas emissions, with a call on government to hold businesses accountable for their climate impacts.
And at least 5 persons were hospitalized following a fire outbreak on Wednesday night, which gutted the Lagos campus of the Nigeria Law School located at Ozumba Mbadiwe Street, Victoria Island. Confirming the report, the Director, Lagos State Fire Service and Rescue, Margaret Adeshe, through the Services Public Affairs Officer, Amadou Shaibu, said there is no casualty. According to Adeshe, a preliminary investigation by the fire service indicated a power surge as the cause of the fire outbreak, adding that a detailed investigation will be carried out to determine the immediate and remote causes of the incident with a view to preventing future occurrences. Reports say the fire started from the first floor of a 5-story hostel building accommodating about 1,500 law graduates on the Lagos campus, which led to a stampede in the hostel. House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Reformatory Institutions to investigate the alleged deplorable state of inmates and the unwholesome working condition of men of the Nigeria Correctional Facilities Service. The House motions were sponsored by the House Minority Leader Ndudi Elumelu from the matters of urgent national importance in plenary on Wednesday. Elumelu noted that the condition of most of the service's facilities are still in poor state despite the huge budgetary allocation to the service. He further noted that despite the 165 billion naira allocated to the service in the past 2 years, the living conditions of staff of the service have not improved. Instead, he said they have deteriorated.
It has therefore observed that the arms corps unit of the service still parade obsolete and substandard weapons despite over 1 billion budget provision for prison biometrics, arms and ammunition in the 2020-2021 budget capital budget, thus impeding its ability to deter, prevent or respond effectively to both internal and external threats. The House is aware of the death of correctional officers and men across the country following attacks either on escort vehicles or custodial facilities. The House is also concerned that the appalling state of custodial facilities and general welfare of inmates post-NC National Correction Service Act is worrisome and requires immediate attention. The House therefore resolves to mandate the Committee on Reformatory Institutions to investigate these allegations and report back to the House within 8 weeks.
Now to matters of the economy, where Nigeria's gross domestic product has further declined to 3.98% from the 4.03% and 5.01% recorded in the third and second quarter of 2021, respectively. The Statistician General of the Federation and Executive Director of the National Bureau of Statistics stated this in a press briefing on Thursday. He noted that the new figure, which will be seen as lower than the 4.03% growth rate in the third quarter, is analytically better when viewed in terms of the base effect of the corresponding period in the fourth quarter of 2020, when the economy recorded a GDP growth of 0.11%, as against the growth rate recorded in the third quarter of the same year, which stood at minus 3.62%. He noted that the improvement seen in the output growth in the last 5 quarters is a steady progress made in stemming the effects of COVID-19 pandemic and the associated negative impact on livelihood, well-being and the economy. Former Nigerian ambassador to Russia, Jibrin Chinade, said the current face-off between Russia and the Ukraine can be resolved through dialogue and diplomatic solutions. Ambassador Chinade said this in Bauchi while speaking in an exclusive interview on the tension in Eastern Europe over the deployment of Russian troops to the Ukrainian border. This is coming as conflicting claims reports that Moscow is set to withdraw its troops. Trust TV's Adamu Imam completes the report.
The recent uprising in Europe drew the attention of the entire world, seeing Russian intention to invade Ukraine by the recent deployment of military troops, while diplomatic expert appeals for more understanding between the parties involved in the crisis. Ambassador Jibrin Chinade, former ambassador to Russia, says he hopes that the crisis will not escalate because the world will not allow it to fall into serious setback.
If the world will join me in praying that there will be no third world war, because what you are really saying, if there is a war between America and Russia, I think we might as well call it a third world war. And nobody wants that scale of violence in the world today. Taking into consideration the huge armaments possessed and owned by both sides, nuclear, missile, anything you can think of, for these two powers or these powers to fight on a war is going to be a terrible setback to the world. What we can do is to pray and hope that diplomacy will prevail rather than war.
He added that the relationship between many European giants that exist will not be in jeopardy, especially in the area of economic and social interests of the world, and calls for developing countries to reject the intention of Russia at the moment.
Changed in the last few years, and with the emergence of China, India, and hopefully Nigeria, the world balance of power will shift to Africa and other G20 countries. But it's going to be gradual. We pray it will be peaceful and it will be to the benefit of humanity.
He maintained that Russia and Germany has a lot of economic relations, particularly in the area of supplying gas energy to the Western Europe, saying military solution will not be an advantage to the entire world. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And still on foreign news, rescuers in Afghanistan are scrambling to reach a 9-year-old boy trapped for 2 days down a well in southern Zabul province. The operation in Shokak village comes less than 2 weeks after a similar attempt to rescue a child from a well in Morocco captured the world's attention, but that operation ended with the boy found dead. Local officials said the boy appeared trapped about 10 meters down the 25-meter shaft. Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar in the Taliban-run government, Abdullah Azam, said a team is there with an ambulance, oxygen and other necessary things. Rescuers are digging an open slit trench from an angle at the surface to try to reach the point where the boy is trapped. And now to sport news, where the Tigresses dropped 1 place to in the second volume of the FIFA Power Ranking to become the 10th in the world. World Basketball governing body who released the power ranking said the ranking is a placement of how teams fared at the just concluded qualifiers that held in Osaka, Belgrade and Washington. Prior to the mini-tournament, Nigeria was ranked 9th out of the 16 teams playing qualifiers, but 2 wins and 1 loss brought the team down 1 spot. The Tigers qualified for the Women's Basketball World Cup coming up later this year in Australia after finishing second in their qualifying group, beating world number 5 France in the process. Other teams in the group are China and Mali. And still in sports, Canada beat fierce rivals the United States 3-2 to win Women's Olympic ice hockey gold on Thursday, avenging a loss in the final 4 years ago and capping a dominant run in Beijing. Canada led 3-0 in the second period and held on despite being outshot in the game 40-21 to collect the country's 5th Olympic gold medal in the event. No other country has won the women ice hockey gold in the 7 Olympic Games since the event debuted in Nagano in 1998, while Canada have won 5 of those and the United States 2. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.